Life appears stable, but hidden cracks mar the foundation, the subtle marks of poverty, etched by enduring hardships. Unlike a tightrope fall, poverty's impact is gradual and unseen. Bills accumulate, opportunities fade, education feels distant, and healthcare is precarious. There's no safety net below, no applause to cushion the fall. In this unseen descent, every misstep, every unforeseen expense, sends tremors through the already weakened foundation. The house may not crumble overnight, but the cracks widen, casting long shadows of uncertainty and despair. This is the insidious nature of poverty's tax, a burden levied not just on wallets, but on dreams, aspirations, and the very foundation of a secure life. It's a tax collected in whispers, its true cost obscured by the daily struggle to keep the facade standing. Recognizing these hidden cracks, understanding their silent erosion, is the first step towards repair, towards shoring up the foundations and building a future where the weight of poverty no longer threatens to bring the whole house down. Housing struggles is the first crack most of people overlook. Housing is fundamentally more than just a shelter. It's the cornerstone of personal security, a foundation for stability, and a launchpad for growth. For those embroiled in the clutches of poverty, secure and affordable housing remains an elusive dream. The quest for a safe, stable home often leads them into a labyrinth of high rents in safer areas, which consume a disproportionate chunk of their limited income. This leaves scant resources for other necessities. On the other hand, opting for cheaper housing often means compromising safety and living conditions, placing them in neighborhoods fraught with challenges, from crime to inadequate public services. This constant struggle for a decent home forces many into a perpetual cycle of moving, each relocation a disruptive force, sowing seeds of instability and stress. Moreover, the battle doesn't end with just securing a place. Living in poorly insulated homes in dire need of repair leads to higher costs in heating and cooling. This burden is yet another wedge driving a deep divide between the affluent and the poor, with the latter always on the losing side. Access and the cost of healthcare is another potential risk to your foundation. Access to healthcare is often proclaimed as a basic human right, yet for many living in the trenches of poverty, it's a right that remains tantalizingly out of reach. Avoiding early medical care due to prohibitive costs often leads to minor issues snowballing into severe health crises, requiring extensive and expensive treatments. This reluctance to seek early intervention not only exacerbates health problems but also balloons the financial burden, ensnaring individuals in a vicious cycle of deteriorating health and deepening poverty. The psychological toll of managing chronic illnesses, often without adequate support, further compounds their difficulties. It's not just physical ailments that afflict those in poverty. The mental and emotional strain of living in constant worry about healthcare costs adds another layer of suffering, often unnoticed and unaddressed. Energy poverty is a significant and often overlooked aspect of the invisible tax. In many low-income households, outdated and inefficient heating and cooling systems are the norm, leading to disproportionately high utility bills. This situation forces families into impossible choices whether to heat their homes, buy food, or pay for essential medication. In stark contrast, more affluent households, equipped with modern, energy-efficient amenities, enjoy lower utility bills, freeing up resources for other uses. This disparity in energy costs is not just a matter of comfort but a fundamental issue of equity and justice. Transportation troubles may not deplete your finances directly, but they will undoubtedly increase your expenses. For many in low-income communities, reliable transportation is not a convenience but a luxury. Lacking personal vehicles, these residents are often at the mercy of public transit systems that are frequently underfunded, unreliable, and inconvenient. The consequences of this are far-reaching. Time lost in lengthy commutes, missed job opportunities, inaccessible healthcare, and an overall reduced quality of life. This daily struggle is more than just a logistical challenge. It's a significant psychological burden, a constant reminder of their precarious position in society. You probably noticed this. You make your landlord richer every month. Homeownership is often touted as a key to financial stability and a means to accumulate wealth. However, for those caught in the grip of poverty, this remains a distant dream. The necessity to rent rather than own means that a significant portion of their income vanishes into the void of rent payments, with no opportunity to build equity or wealth. Over time, the cumulative amount spent on rent can exceed the value of a home they could have owned, yet the initial financial barrier to homeownership remains insurmountable for many. This perpetual cycle of renting serves to perpetuate the wealth gap, ensuring that those in poverty remain unable to invest in appreciating assets like property. Rent-to-own bleeds you out every day slowly and you barely notice. For individuals and families living in poverty, everyday purchases, from groceries to necessary appliances, represent a significant financial challenge. Limited cash flow means that bulk purchases, which are often more economical, are out of reach. This leads to a paradox where they end up paying more over time for basic goods. The inability to pay upfront for larger, essential items often forces them into unfavorable financial arrangements like rent-to-own agreements or high-interest installment plans. These schemes ultimately result in paying significantly more than the item's original price. Additionally, the reliance on dollar stores and other low-cost retailers, while seemingly economical, often proves costlier in the long run. The goods available at these outlets are frequently of lower quality, leading to frequent replacements and, consequently, greater overall expenditure. This aspect of the invisible tax reinforces a cycle of financial inefficiency, where those in poverty are consistently forced to pay more for less. The lack of access to traditional banking and financial services is a significant barrier for many living in poverty. This leads to reliance on alternative financial services like payday loans and check cashing services, notorious for their exorbitant fees and interest rates. These services, while providing immediate relief, often trap users in a relentless cycle of debt. The absence of affordable credit options and the inability to build a positive credit history further impede financial progress. This lack of access to fair financial services is not just an inconvenience, it's a significant roadblock in the journey out of poverty. Childcare challenges is a quite obvious crack, but you cannot do anything but watch it growing bigger. Childcare, a necessity for working parents, poses a disproportionately heavy burden on those in poverty. The high cost of quality childcare often forces parents into a heartbreaking dilemma: work to provide for their family or stay home to care for their children. This leads many to rely on informal or substandard childcare options, which can have lasting negative impacts on child development and family stability. Furthermore, the lack of affordable childcare options perpetuates the cycle of poverty, as it limits the ability of parents, especially single parents, to seek employment or educational opportunities that could improve their financial situation. In summary, poverty's challenges erode aspirations for countless individuals and families. Like a weakened foundation, these challenges become part of daily life in financial insecurity. Understanding them is crucial for effective policies and lasting solutions. Recognizing this erosion, we can repair and build a future free from poverty's threat to dreams.